I mean, that some of the most wealthiest people in our country don't technically have that money because it's wrapped up in companies like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Jeff Bezos. Like most of their wealth is wrapped up in the companies they started. Same with Zuckerberg. So it's pretty. It, I don't know if you can be mad at someone like that because they just happen to come up with something that people used, enjoyed, and made money off of it. I don't think you can get mad at someone like that, but most people do because they have something that they don't. I see that in small towns in general, and by small towns I mean where I grow up. People hate seeing success. It doesn't matter who it is. There's people locally that dislike other people locally that have done well for themselves by having their own business or by doing certain shit or by just like starting their own business or owning multiple homes or starting like just anything or trying to work towards their dreams or kind of trying to be an entrepreneur and stuff. People in small towns are terrible and arrogant when it comes down to a lot of stuff because no offense to most people, they are great for the majority, but most people I think, especially in America, depending on where you live, blame everyone else for their problems. And I think that in certain situations, that's very true. And in certain situations, stuff that the government has done, big business, and a bunch of other things have taken money from other people. But also, I think that most people they just hate seeing other people do better than them. So I don't, like, there's people my age making $150,000 in New York. And part of that is like, yeah, that's a lot of money. But also, they're living in New York. That $150,000 is not going to do near as much. Like, they're probably making more than me after living costs, definitely, than I am. But at the same time, the cost of living there is so much higher that making $80,000 a year isn't necessarily anything impressive. Where if you make $80,000 where I live a year, like that's a lot of money. Like that you're doing well for yourself. Like that's nothing ridiculous, but at the same time, that's pretty impressive. And so part of it is perspective and where you are and how you see things, but I do think in general for small towns in particular, and I think for the US, we do better than other countries. I have seen that compared to the UK. There people are very very weird about like seeing people step out of line and do shit different and kind of make their own way. They do react differently, but I feel like it's just because that culture is very very old school, where I feel like the US society was from innovation and growth and people stepping out and being outliers to then change the way that we live lives. I mean, Thomas Edison and Tesla and like some of those people were people that weren't necessarily like thought of as amazing until their works were proved. So it's kind of very similar. Like I feel like in certain situations when it comes to something like this, like a podcast or YouTube, depending on where you are in the US, some people will be like that most don't understand, but depending on who you talk to, some people are like, good job, go for it. If you're able to make money for it, and people do, and some people do amazing at it, some people are like, that's awesome, like, good for you. And then there's other places in America that look at you like, who the hell do you think you are? Why the hell are you making money? Just go get a job. You're not going to do anything with your life. So I do hate the small town mentality in general. And I think that's one reason why I like to travel and see different stuff, because somehow growing up in a small town, I don't have the same mentality as small town people. And I'm grateful for it. And that's one reason why I started this podcast, was for it to hopefully eventually become something. But it's also something I enjoy. And I do kind of find it fun, especially once things get up and running like I want to and have people on. I'm gonna have so much fun with this. So it's still a learning process. It's still a process. This is in its early stages still. I mean, yeah, we're on episode 21. It's impressive to then make it to 21 weeks in and make it through 21 episodes. But it's still, compared to especially large podcasts nowadays, it's still very, very in its early stages. So this is it's quite amazing, and I can't wait to see what we might be able to turn this into.